Alrighty, this Lafayette 1938 submarine radio does power up but growls quite a bit and the caps get a little warm. So I'm going to replace them with Sprague brand 8 MFD microfarads 500 volt DC, 10 MFD 350 volts. 3 of those take care of these two black vintage receivers. Yeah, this is quite a gem, these old-time ones. These are gems as well, thank you. The modern type, solid state, works super and used today still. Anyway, so I didn't want to use a Variac too much on this because that's the best thing to do, but this one blew. Nothing else blew. So I decided to replace them all in this guy here. There's about 3 of them. Just, all you do is leave them in, just cut the wires and add the new ones, which are smaller, underneath the large capacitors, and you're off to the races. Both units maybe a couple hours only. So that's fun to do. Doctor. So a lot of people recap their receivers. These ones actually don't need it. They use oil type kind of electrolyte oil type. The chemical types, they just over time explode if they're not used. So it's best to use them. Like a lot of the R39s have a couple of electrolytics that go bad, and they sell kits to replace them. Or you replace them yourself with modern ones, electrolytics, and just leave the actual original capacitor inside. And that's the problem with some of the military industrial stuff, is that they use bad caps in the old days. Not at the time, they thought they were okay, but this unit here just needs 2. Otherwise, they're all really good capacitors. I haven't the life yet, so that's what it looks like inside. Had it running for maybe 5 minutes until I felt the capacitors by finger and noticed that they got hot, and the light bulb and wattage test seemed to indicate there was extra energy being used. That's another way of testing your old vintage electronic stuff. Get a light bulb, stick it in line with circuit on the same wattage that these units use. I'll show you as well. I've done that. I've done the Variac stuff over years, I guess. So it's best to do that. Slowly bring up the voltage. Reform the capacitors. Successful sometimes, but really, if you notice white stuff around the base of the capacitors, it's best just simply to replace them. They're cheap enough. All you have to do is just cut off the B plus wires going to the underside of the capacitor, cut it, insert a new capacitor because they're smaller, as I said before, and wire it in and just leave the big old capacitors in place. Anyway, and with transmitters the same thing, and other electronic stuff the same thing. Signal generators and detectors and all that's cool stuff. Unless they're Pyronol capacitors, then you're okay. Which is actually PCB or other forms of capacitance. But anyway, that's my little story for today on the Lafayette 1938 submarine receiver. That's a real funny little guy. Anyway. Besides that, I'm going to go.